Alright guys, brand new day. So, I always like to listen to the Berkshire Hathaway meetings and Buffett and Munger. And Charlie Munger said one time, he said, a stock can't earn much more than its underlying business. I had to park this thing like this with the hazards on. Couldn't find a place to put it. So Munger said, let's say a company earns 6% on its capital for 40 years. You're most likely not going to get much more than a 6% return each year. Sometimes it's hard for me to admit that the world is changing fast and that the only thing permanent is change. I had to stop and take the time to sit and look at the year-over-year revenue growth and return on investment capital of the top 10 holdings of SCHD. What made me stop and do that was recently I've been incorporating all the AI agents and things in our business. And I'm starting to realize the cost savings, whether it's payroll, the efficiency, and the benefits like the first response time on customer service, or the customer service survey rating has increased dramatically using AI. And the deeper and deeper I got into it, the more I started thinking, dude, this is not just a large language model. Yes, it is a large language model, but it's more than that. These agents, these helpers are going to scale businesses so quickly. They're going to save so much money for these companies. I don't think we even can comprehend it. I know it sounds silly what I'm saying, but what I started thinking, dude, I love SCHD. I love the dividend investing. But sometimes you got to get real. I started thinking, all right, let me really look at the performance. You know what I mean? Let's look at the performance against the S&P 500. Let's look at the year-over-year revenue growth of the top 10 holdings of S&P 500 compared to SCHD. I know they play different roles in someone's portfolio. We're all investing, we're all doing these things and working hard every day because we want to take care of our family, or we want to prosper or progress. And I just had to stop and think, what is best for me and what's best for my family and the future and my kids, and everything I'm doing is so future-based in the e-commerce business. Somebody that followed Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, I liked SCHD. I still like SCHD, but I liked it the most because I liked that its PE ratio was below its average. It was around its average is around 17 or 18, and it's been around 14 to 15. And you see the S&P and stuff, it's above its average. So I was always looking at intrinsic value and trying to buy below its value and position myself in a way that I'm not buying something when it's too expensive. But I kind of had to stop and slap myself in the face and realize that this isn't just this could be like some type of little bubble, like .com, where everything's AI related bubbles. But I think it's more than that. I don't think we realize the efficiency that it's going to create inside of these businesses. I don't think we realize the payroll savings it's going to give companies like Google. I really think that this is like a fourth industrial revolution. And yes, I like SCHD. If you're someone going into retirement, or even with me, I was building income with it. But I honestly had to reevaluate what I'm doing. And I just had to think about what's best for my family and the future. And I always hated just jumping in on some trend, or, just chasing performance chasing. The performance of SCHD is not horrible. The performance of SCHD for what it is really great. People freak out and say oh, it's done so horrible the past year to date, it's horrible. But if you add in the dividend and how much it's down, it's really only down maybe a 1% or 2% below the S&P. The S&P is up, I think, 4% year to date, and I think SCHD might be down 3%. But then if you factor in at the end of the year its yield, if you put the 3.8% yield back in, it's not hard. It does well, and it serves a purpose too. If you're someone that wants to have sleep well at night and have a defensive portfolio. The worst drawdown of SCHD's history, I think, was in 2022 when you put the total return with the yield included. It only dropped 3% when the S&P dropped, I think, 18%, and VGT dropped 30%. So it is a really good ETF. I'm not knocking SCHD. I love it. I just think that Buffett is right when he says to buy a cross-section of America, which you do with SCHD, but to buy a cross-section of America like the top 500 companies, like like VOO, and hold it for 40 years. What made me think about it was Munger's quote: a stock can't earn much more than its underlying business. That's why he loves Costco so much. He loved its return on investment capital. I think it was like over 18%. I think that's his number. They like, if you notice, Buffett and Munger like return on investment capital and return on equity. If companies have high return on invested capital and high return on equity, I sometimes wonder if that's like all he's really looking at. Because if you look at it, a lot of the companies they hold, that's what they are. I'm joking, but when I started to dive deep into SCHD, yes, they are the methodology behind SCHD is amazing. They do have a high return on invested capital. They do have strong balance sheets with a lot of free cash flow. They do increase their dividend every year for more than 10 years. But some of the companies that have the most year-over-year revenue growth, or that are the top holdings of the S&P 500, and they fought their way up there with their market cap growth, those companies aren't in SCHD because they don't pay a dividend. And if they do, it's a small dividend. Like Meta started paying a dividend. Maybe one day they will be in there. But I'm just trying to think about what's best for my family and the future. And the more and more I dabble in this stuff, the more and more I realize I want to be allocated mainly to that. And whether or not I switch to SCHD later on in life, that's probable. But for now, I'm switching up my strategy. So I just want to come on here and tell you guys why. And then the other stock I have as a single stock that I've added is Google. I think people are sleeping on Google. It's AI models. It's quantum research. Yes, they get like 60-some% of their revenue from ads. But I think over time we're going to see their cloud computing grow. They're smaller, way smaller than AWS right now. But they're gaining traction. Hyperscale data centers being built out. Alright guys, I got the baby. I'm going out here to put the windows up in the E30. My son's in this garage rowing. I gotta drain the water out of this thing so I can turn it off. Alright guys, now I'm doing laundry. I'm folding. My wife's gonna kill me. I'm throwing in like with the nice white comforter colored towel. And this thing is packed, dude. It is packed. I had it on clean washing machine, but I just shut it off and just starting fresh. Throw a pot in there and call it a day. I just throw it straight in. We're gonna go with optic whites. Now we'll go with heavy duty. I realized I made so many mugs, but I got some more mugs from the DDP site. Let's see what this one is. What in the world? Oh, this is just basic logo. You guys want to support the channel, get a DDP mug. If you drink coffee, you need a mug. Alright, let's see what this one is. Oh, I like this one. I like this. Stay focused. I'm drinking coffee out of this one tomorrow. I like this one. I like the colors. We got the mug lineup. If you guys want to support the channel, just click on a video description and the link's in there. I appreciate you guys. Guys, now we're doing dishes. I'm gonna make a mug instead of always dialed. It's gonna say always dishes. Always gotta do dishes and laundry. I'm gonna take this while I'm working. What's up guys? It's 11:30 at night. Just walking around. We gotta unplug the G-Wagon and we gotta plug in the go-kart. I'm heading into the Starbucks. I got the laptop, gonna start working. Finished working at Starbucks. Today I was dialed in on trying to find some more VAs. So what I'm doing is I'm hiring somebody that goes on our website. What they do is, I want them to do about 20 a day. They're gonna copy the URL, put it in ChatGPT, and tell it to write a blog. So they might say like, they might copy a certain item and then say, I want you to write a blog about this item, but I want you to pack the blog with this keyword. Then I want them to do 20, it only takes about, to be honest, about 2 to 3 minutes to write the blog, like to copy the URL and write the blog, and just review it, like make sure it looks good, you know, and copy and paste it into Shopify on the blog. And then what I want them to do is include images from the product and links and alt text related to those keywords too. And then take every one of those blogs, take like an excerpt from it, like copy it, paste it in LinkedIn with a link to the blog with the keywords in that excerpt, whatever that word is. Excerpt, I can't say it right, but you get what I'm saying. What's up, guys? Cruising past the Brazilian steakhouse. Check this out. We got a lineup of cars right here. We got an S2000. He's got the right wheels on that thing. Check it out. Look, we got the JDM crew up in here. I like that Subaru. And then we got another one over here, parked over here. I got the dog with me. He's wearing a bow tie. We got another STI on the end. I don't know if you see the wing. We need to get a Porsche crew together so we can come up here and represent. We got to get a bunch of Porsche heads up here. What's up, guys? Back in the truck. I'm driving around eating popcorn. Ooh.